What's up YouTube? So the day has finally arrived. I have a new Vital sound pack for you guys and I want to show it to you. Let's dive in and have a look. So what I want to do with this video is start off with an absolutely blank instance and we can recreate as much sounds for this project directly from stuff that's in this pack. I think that's going to be a pretty powerful way of showing you guys the kind of versatility here. So, I mean, there's kick drums, there's bass lines, all sorts of stuff. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to open it up and we can dive into some of these patches. So, Glitch Psytrance Essentials Volume 2. This contains 9 bass sounds, 2 kick drum sounds. So we can maybe have a look at creating a kick and a bass, and then we can move on to some other elements. Okay, so we've got our project tempo set to 140 BPM. We've got an instance of Vital with one of the presets loaded. Let's just put in a pattern for our kick drums here, and we can start looking at maybe tweaking it or seeing if it's going to fit with a bass pattern. So with most of these kicks, I kind of designed them to work on a lot of different pitches, but you can kind of tweak them to fine tune exactly how it's going to work with the pitch. For example, check this out. You hear that little snap at the top kind of changes a little bit. So I've created the ability to kind of change the amount of transient and punch that's happening, to change that amount, like that sound of that snap. Because a lot of the time when you detune a kick or when you tune it, when it's synthesized, it often changes the sound of that like top transient kick sound. Okay, that's a good start. Let's look at a bass and then we can look at how they kind of interact with each other. So let's just create another instance of Vital over here and we can start looking at some of the bass patches. Okay, so I'm just going to start off with the first one, see if it fits in, and then we can move on and see how it goes. So the kick I put in was in G, so we can put in some G notes here. So let's put these into a group, kick and bass. I kind of like the sound that it has with the snap, so maybe we can just EQ that range out a little bit to kind of fine tune it. I think that'll be good. So we can check out the kick and bass relationship on a scope before we kind of render out the kick. I like to render out my kick, especially when doing it with these kind of synths that aren't necessarily made for kick synthesis, because they can often, because of these really fast envelopes, things can vary a little bit. Although it's looking pretty good there, I won't lie. I want to use a compressor to kind of even out a bit of the level here. As you can see, there's a bit of boom on that kind of sub-fundamental, and the transient could come up a little bit, I think. Cool, that looks good. So before I do like level adjustments, I can actually just turn it up a little bit first, so I get a nice chunky sample out here. I'm just going to render this out and then we can do some level adjustments and stuff in comparison with the kick and the bass. Okay, the phase is bang on, but it looks like there's a little bit of overlap in that bass note, so we can go clean up the MIDI a little bit. And then we can apply some sidechain here just to get rid of that slight overlap that's happening on the kick and the bass. Okay, let's add some percussion-y things here. So there's an interesting patch here called SFX Random Perk Hits. So it kind of does a like a random sort of pitchy, percussion-y type of sound each time the note is triggered. So this is cool for creating like a sort of backbeat, like alongside like more traditional kind of percussion-y things. I'm just going to put in random notes here, and then we can just copy this across the entire loop. Okay, so I've just whipped up a quick percussion loops here with some traditional samples and stuff, just to make it easier to grow things quickly with the track. And then I've got this like auxiliary percussion thing which I've added in here, just to add more of a psychedelic kind of percussion feel. Okay, so I want to show you this sequence here called The One. It's one of my favorite ones in the pack, funnily enough. And reason being is it's so versatile in terms of like the way that you're able to kind of sequence it using the macros. So let me just put in a long note over here. I guess we can go with G because the track is in G. Let me make it a bit longer, just in case the sequence does have like modulations and stuff. So not only do we have the ability to kind of like change the way that like trigger pattern is playing, we can also change the way that movement is kind of, the modulation is being applied to that filter. So we can use this in interesting ways to create this kind of like varying kind of like main lead that kind of like evolves throughout the track. So check this out. Let's say, for example, we want to do like... let's just go like 4 bars and then like a break, and then we can change up the pattern, and then a break, and then change up the pattern, you know, so you guys can get the idea of what I'm kind of trying to talk about here. So then we can just automate this sequence parameter. Cool, so that's just one preset that can do like that whole evolving thing, and that's just not limited. I mean, there's, I think, 8 different switches at which that kind of like sequence state can exist. Okay, let's put some pads in here. I think I've got 2 in mind that'll work here. I think this one, pad Fire Spikes, and pad Reishi. Okay, let's look at some more of these sequences. So another one of my favorites in this pack is sequence Cobra Lily. So let's just pop this exact long MIDI note on here. So we can like run from this part into this part here. Okay, another favorite sequence of mine is the SEQ Nightshade. So this is a really nice like FM kind of vibe. And the cool thing about it is it's got like a variety of different kind of patterns that you can play. And also you can kind of like sequence it. You don't have to have like one long sequence. Check this out. So my other favorite is SEQ Saberstalk. It's another one that's like very versatile as like a main lead. It's got like a variety of different styles that you can kind of choose to sequence it. But just as is pretty cool, you know, with some filter movement here. Check this out. Okay, I want to show you guys one more sequence and then we can move on to some leads. So a lot of people have tuned Vital about not having Arps, and what I've done is I've basically created 2 Arp presets in this pack that have a variety of different settings to change the direction and the shape and that kind of thing. Check this out. So let's just drag in a long note. I can just copy this one from here. And here's a cool little trick, is you can use the smooth control of this main LFO here as the kind of like portamento. So we could add, for example, like a sample and hold on the 16th. So it's like every time the note triggers to give it some glide. And if we do it to this LFO3 as well, just a little bit, it kind of does it to the kind of like envelope of the shape as well. Okay, so I'm just going to play around and arrange this a little bit more sensibly. I'll probably speed up this part of the video. So there's also some sound effects and risers and that kind of thing in the pack. So I figured now would be a good chance to kind of slot some in here. So I want to have a look at, first of all, adding a couple of kind of downlifters and squelchers and things. So this riser uses a shepherd tone, so it sounds like it's constantly rising, even though it kind of isn't. So it really helps to kind of like create, to render this out and create like an envelope on this. Okay, let's look at some of the leads in here. Awesome. That pretty much gives you guys a taster of what's to come with the pack. I hope you guys enjoyed that. Let me know what you think in the comments. I'm going to be posting a link to where you can go buy this pack on my Shopify store down in the description below. Thanks for watching this video. If you haven't yet, hit that subscribe button. See you guys next time. Cheers.